everybody, welcome to Talks at Growth Hub. I'm Glòria, and today we have Nessa McNamara, founder of Little Learners, to have a chat with us today. So hi Nessa.
Thank you very much, Glòria.
It's a pleasure to have you here. So I'm going to start with, how did you come up, what influenced you to start Little Learners?
Well, I was involved in children from the time I left school. I did a Montessori course and I really loved it. For years and years and years, I only played at it. I used to go in and do a morning time, or I had a little preschool in my house, or then I started getting involved with all the local rural schools who were losing numbers. So basically what used to happen was I'd go in and set up a preschool. People would get used to bringing their children to the preschool, and then they'd go on to the national school and it would save the national school. But the downside of that was I was constantly losing premises because I was in their spare classroom. So the minute the spare classroom was used up, I had to go. So I did that in 3 schools. Then I moved to Germany. And when I came home, my children were just that little bit bigger and I was ready to do something myself.
Yeah.
So I was pretty horrified when I came back from Germany to discover that I had no stamps, I had no PRSI. And I felt I didn't exist in the country, and I was actually quite hurt. I really felt, well, who am I, and what's all this about? So I went working for somebody, and to get my stamps, or PR, whatever it's called these days, and I couldn't believe how terrible it was. I could not believe that this is what passed for early years education, and that the parents didn't seem to recognise that it was all codology. This place was terrible, and they'd take photographs of the children doing something and then put the thing away. Like nobody ever played with anything. So I really was horrified, and the more and more and more it went on, the more I got upset.
Yeah.
And I met a very nice girl that I was working with out there, and we used to give out and moan and complain and all the things you do.
If this was me, I would do it differently.
Yeah, exactly. And we used to sort of plot and plan, and we used to think, this is disgraceful. So that summer, she saw a place to rent in Drumcondra, a little small place to rent in Drumcondra. So we thought, sure, maybe we'll give it a shot. We only needed 22 children. I had it worked out that if we had 4 children, that would pay the rent. The next 5 children would pay her. And then everything after that would pay, the running or myself. So we made up a little card, and I went and sat in the local playground, and I kept looking for little people with small children, and I just sat and chatted to all the mummies, and they were all chatting, and they all met in the playground, and by the time we opened, we were full. We had all 22 children, so we were thrilled.
Fabulous. And when was that, Nessa?
That was in 2011.
So 2011 to 2024.
Yeah.
Loads has happened
A lot
in less than, what is that, 13 years?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Well, we didn't set out, obviously, to do it, but what happened then was we had rented this little small preschool, and within the year we were full, and we knew we'd a waiting list, and the landlord put us out of the premises, and there's a bit of a backstory, but anyway, she put us out of the premises. So all our parents wanted to stay with us. So we had about 4 weeks to find somewhere else. So we went all over Drumcondra, and there was nowhere. I mean, you can imagine how hard it is to find somewhere. So we eventually found what used to be an old shop, and we took it. And we were very scared because we didn't have enough money, and we didn't have, we only had 1 year's trading, like 22 children for 3 hours a day. The banks don't go, yeah, come on, come in and have, here's buckets of money. So we decided then that we'd have to start an after school. Plus a lot of our little children had gone on to school, and people were saying, would we come back? So we got the after school, and we advertised it and everything, and then realised we should have got planning permission, and we should have got a fire cert and all sorts of legalities because we at that stage thought we were playing and enjoying ourselves, and we were making enough money to put petrol in the car, buy the groceries, and that was enough as far as we were concerned. And then suddenly we were sort of in with important things like planning, and so we opened without planning, and then we had to go back and say, look, we're very sorry, we're only a play school, we didn't know, and oh gosh, and we had to be all humble. So then we got the planning permission, and then, oh God, fire certs and this certs and that certs and registering with TUSL and unregistering with TUSL and forms and forms and forms and forms and forms. And even the mobile phones had only started. And I wasn't even used to having a phone. I had to tie the phone onto me because I was constantly leaving it behind. And I felt like when the phone rang, I should answer it, of course. So I used to answer it. And I'd say, yeah, no problem, we'll collect the child. And then I'd do something else. And then I'd run up and say, oh my God, who's that person? I lived in a constant state of anxiety until my husband said, don't answer until you're prepared to do it. And that was really a turning point. I went, oh yeah, that's a great idea. So then I started to respect systems and things like that. Then it was a great success. But then our after school started to grow. The more preschoolers we had, the more after schoolers we had. We needed more space. We didn't have a big garden. Then this big old building became available in Drumcondra. Big old empty building, and it looked like 10,000 ghosts lived in it. But it had a great big garden. So I went down and I said, I'll have the garden. And the guy said, you can't have the garden without rooms. So I took 2 rooms. And since then we've been sneaking around, taking room after room after room after room, because the place has just grown. But it's grown because the parents believe in what we're doing. They really do. The parents love what we do, and we love the parents, and that's the synergy, and it has just worked.
And you know the way, so you have the place in Drumcondra, but then you have 2 other locations. When did you decide, you know what, I love what we're doing here, we make a difference to the kids, I'm gonna expand?
The expanding is, you see, I'm supposed to be talking about entrepreneurship, but a lot of it happened by accident. We just heard the landlord that owned the big building also owned this small building. And he asked us, would we like to go in? And I always have this horrible feeling that if you say no, you'll never get the chance again. So I'm inclined to say yes and worry about it afterwards. And I get all enthusiastic. I'm a big optimist. So I get all enthusiastic, and then it's about 3 months later that I start going, oh my God, what do we do? And where do we, so yeah, I'm inclined to say yes first and then work out the details. Whereas my friend who works with me is all about the details, so she's very good. Like we work very well together on that point, because she burrows into everything and works out all the little bits and pieces where I'm going, it'll be great, it'll be fine, and she's going, oh, but what about this, that and the other? So she's very good. So it's important to have a team around you that,
so one of the questions, Nessa, I was going to ask you is about the team. So when you started along with
one person.
And then how did you, what made you decide, well, we're 2 people now. How many staff do you have at the moment?
We have 93 at the moment.
93? Wow. So how do you go from 2 to almost 100? And the first person that you employ, or like that journey, what happened?
Well, the first person, there was myself and this other girl, and then when we were still in this little tiny place that we were put out of, we needed somebody for a few spare children, and one of the parents said she had a friend, so she came on and she became a friend. So now there's a trio of us that have been more or less there since the start. We just seem to find very good people. I think people who want and care about their jobs and care about early years and care about the after school seem to come to us. And then once we get a good person, they have friends and relations, or they worked somewhere else. So our team kind of rippled out. And that time we've advertised. But what we do is we have a very peculiar interview system, which is I meet the person at the reception and we walk through the building and I show them everything. And if they don't say nice things or go, oh, look what you have, or oh my God, then I think, you're boring. So we want people with passions. We don't care what it is. Like, you can be a footballer or a singer or a macrame maker or embroiderer, whatever it is. But we want people with passions and people who care about the families. It's very important to care about the families. Early years is not just about the children, it's about the family and about the community. And that's what we look for. And it hasn't let us down yet.
One thing I love, you're saying your little learners place is the flexibility. It's huge. And I would say for working parents, like sometimes you have something unexpected. But I would say that flexibility for yourselves, it probably brings a lot of extra work, or the management of that.
Well, yes, but we expect it. Like, we set out to do what the parents needed and what the children needed, as opposed to what the prescribed business.
Yeah,
so we
yeah,
always were. Now we're actually running into a little bit of a problem with flexibility, in the sense that the more government rules and regulations come in, it's squeezing us, you know. So we're not quite, you know, we always did the extra mile. We always said to the people, we'll say, collecting the after school, you go down to that school, and anyone you recognise that's standing there after their parents should pick them up, you bring them home with us.
Yeah.
So everybody in Drumcondra knows they're not in school, they're being collected by little learners. But I think it's desperately important.
Yeah.
We've got a great team that they recognise things like that, and I think because they're well able, it doesn't cause them a problem if you say to somebody, oh, Peter's going to there, and then he has to do this, and then he's going up to Qatar, and then he's coming back. They just take it as part of their day, because they know that's what the service is. We have a saying that we have to add a spark of joy to the lives we touch. So the spark of joy is to the children, the spark of joy is to each other, the spark of joy is to the parent, and the spark of joy is to the community. So every child that comes home each day should have had some interaction that made them feel good about themselves. Now, not made up stuff. You can't like say, oh, you know, the children recognise what's true. So you have to be honest and truthful with them. So that's what we try and do, and we try and go above and beyond what's required, and people appreciate it, and people notice it, but it also gives us joy, because it's a hard old job with children, and you'd want to be getting something back and giving your heart and getting it back. Yeah. Whereas if you're just sitting waiting for the time to go, and you're sitting there like that, it's the longest 3 hours in the history of the world. But if you get down deep into it, you're having great fun. Yeah. And the time goes.
Yeah. And Nessa, on all these years that you've been doing it, do you get those days that your motivation is just not there, that you just want to be in the duvet, hiding away, and you're like, this is just too much, there's too many challenges, I can't do this, I'm giving up, not today? Do you ever get those days? And if you do, how do you get yourself going?
An odd day I do, but it's never about the children and the parents. It's always something so annoying, like rules and regulations that just seem to be just there to get in your way. But it's a happy play. It's a happy job. It's a like, it's not well paid. It's not, nobody's going to make a fortune, but you'll certainly get loads of satisfaction, and there's a lot of heart in it, and you get a lot of heart back. So it's no, I do enjoy it. I really do enjoy it. But the children come in every day. Every day is a new day.
Definitely.
With them, you know, and it's lovely. And of course, like from a parent's point of view, yes, you have to get them up and get their homework and this and that, and they're fighting with their friend and everything. But we see the best of them. We just we play, we chat, we know all about them. And then they go home. It's a bit like being a grandparent.
Yeah.
Get the best.
Turn it to the parents. They can't worry about it. So, if you had to go back now that you're wiser and more experienced than you were when you started first, or in that moment that you were working for someone else and you couldn't see that it wasn't working, what they were doing wasn't, that you could do it much better, and you were starting then to start your own business. Is there one piece of advice that you'll give to your younger self?
I would say go for it. I knew I had it in me. All my friends, as I say, when I came back from Germany, everybody I knew was something important, and I was nothing. I thought, oh my God, I'm okay. I'm a person too. So that kind of motivated me. So, but I would say believe in yourself. And if you know that you have the inkling of an idea, or if you know that you just have a slight twist on something, or you just have to believe yourself and not get knocked down by the setbacks, and maybe have fun with it. Like, you're not selling your soul to the devil. You know, it'll be okay. If it fails, it's all right. You just go on and you'll have met somebody along the way, or things that we thought were terrible. We were put out of our building. We'd no fire cert. We'd no insurance. We had insurance. We'd no planning. the building at one stage was going to be sold from under us. All the things that were terribly bad and could drown you actually turned out to be pivotal points that became good things. So never, never, never go down under it. Keep fighting. If you believe in it and you know what you want to do and you feel you have it within you, keep going. Because, I mean, what can you lose except your own sort of bounce? And you know, it's okay. And if you want to turn around and say to your friends, yeah, I tried that and it was a disaster, fine. And if you look like that, it's okay. Whereas if you turn around and say, oh, it's all gone, it's all terrible, everybody's going to take you. They're going to take you at face value. So if you say, I tried it, loved every minute of it, pity it didn't work, now I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, nobody will bat an eyelid.
Yeah.
So don't get drawn down.
And you learn from it.
Everything. And you've met people and you've heard things and you see things and you go, well, So there's nothing, you know, the only mistake you could do is not try it. Like, do it, try it. If you want to, I don't know, set up a recording studio and be a recorder and then suddenly you end up being a deep sea diver, all that learning along the way will have helped you. And it's all about a mindset and knowing and a belief in yourself. Yeah. And totally agree. And that's what our Growth Hub project is about. Yeah. And from a Leader Learners or Nessa, what's next? What's the future of, what is the next 5-10 years for Leader Learners? Well, we're in a very peculiar situation because basically government are now coming into preschools were always private. And in an effort to make it more acceptable to parents and, you know, there's various funding coming in and things, but they're tying us in knots. So I don't see my way very clearly at the moment. I'm not sure what's going to happen, because if it was just private and me, I would like to, I have a dream to set up a children's village that would be a school under an industrial premises roof, you know, like on the edge of an industrial estate. Yeah. Instead of these big hangars that you'd go in, and everywhere would be like kind of magical, and there'd be a stream and trees, and the children could have free access all day. And each like, instead of having rooms, like, there'd be art and there'd be crafts and there'd be drama and there'd be music and there'd be swinging on ropes and making things out of mud and things like that. I would love to try that, but as I say, the rules are tightening and everything is about things that can be measured, which is very hard. It's temperatures of water and whether the place is clean and the temperature of the day in the classroom, and things that are sensible. They're safe. I don't want to sound like I'm against health and safety, but there's nobody measuring, is that the sad little child or the shy child, or is that the child with difficult circumstances? And look at them now, they're on the stage, they're having a little song, or they're out marching around, or they're blowing bubbles and laughing freely. There's no measurement for that. That's only something you have to believe in yourself. Yeah. So I actually can't answer that. I don't know where it's going. Yeah. Could go in all directions. Well, I love that children village. I would love to have an adult village. I think it would be. I do. Actually, before COVID, that was our plan. We were on the lookout for one, but then various government policies have come in now to try and support parents. I'm not in any way against any of this, but their way of doing it seems to be give with one hand and take away with the other hand. And you're talking about the flexibility and things. They're not seeing that. Everything's about ratios and numbers, and did somebody come 40 hours a week or did they come 37 hours a week? Then you have to give back money, and it's paper. And it's too, I don't know what the answer is, because if it is government funding, people have to account for it. Yeah. But that sort of looseness that a parent needs, which means I'll come late on a Tuesday and I'll go early on a Wednesday, or can we swap the days, all suddenly takes an awful lot more jiggling around, because it's ratios and insurance and this and that. Yeah. So it's getting a little bit more difficult. Yeah. But we'll fight on for the love and the fun and the crack. It's all about the crack. Yeah, really. Yeah.
No, that's fabulous. And you've covered this already. Like, one question that I have then always is 3 tips for the students. You've covered a lot when I was asking what would you say to your younger self.
Yeah.
But will we do a recap of the 3 that you think might be?
Well, for a student, you're starting out, you've got a huge advantage. You've got youth and you've a long life ahead of you. So it's no harm to try everything. If you know within the core of yourself that you have the spark of an idea, or whether it's a product or whether it's a service that you can do something better than everybody else, or you can see something, believe in it and go after it. The finance more or less looks after itself. People start backing you. And the other thing is, if it fails, you just shrug your shoulders. Do not get set back by it. Go, okay, that wasn't for me. I'll make another plan, or I'll use that for whatever reason that it failed. I will use that to help me start my next thing. But I think if you're an entrepreneur, if you have that plan in you, if you have that growth in you, nothing's going to stop you anyway.